Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh. Welcome to this segment of Khoj Gurbani's a-sabad-a-day. Our recitation of Bara Maha continues with the month of Pokh, the winter month. And the fifth Nanak says, Pokh Tukhaar na Viapaye kanth milaya haranaha man pedya charanar bind darsan lagada saha ot govind gopal rai seva swami laha bikhya pohe na sakai mil sadhu gun gaha जहते उपजी तह मिली सच्ची प्रीत समाहा कर गह लीनी पार ब्रह्म बहुड़ न विछड़िया बार जाओ बेरी लख बेरिया हर सज्जन अगम अगाह शर्म पई नारायण नानक दर पया पोख सुहंदा सर्व सुख जिस बख्शे वे परवाहा. So here the fifth Guru is using the analogy of the winter month to signify the state of the mind, the winter of the mind. And he speaks as the soul bride. He says, my mind has been pierced with the lotus feet, implying knowledge of the Master Self. Man bedya charanarabind. As we know, the lotus feet of the Master Self is often used in Gurbani to indicate knowledge of the Self. Lotus is a symbol of self-knowledge. So my mind has been pierced with the lotus feet of the Master Self, and I am in the embrace of the Master as a result. Kanthamilya. And so the cold of the month, the Po, is not felt. Ot Govind Gopal Rai Seva Swami Laha Bikhya Pohe na Sakai Mil Sadhu Gungaha. Bikhya Pohe na Sakai Mil Sadhu Gungaha. So because I'm in the embrace of the Master Self, Maya does not exert its effect on me. Bikhya, poison, here corresponds to Maya. Maya is simply worldly existence and its duality. Maya exerts a great deal of influence on the mind and causes it to be unstable in a state of disequilibrium. That is what is the poison of the mind. So the Guru says, with the guidance of the sadhu, which is the enlightener, I have harmonized with the self by cultivating virtue. Mil sadhu gun gaho. The poison of Maya cannot touch me now because I am secure with the protector, Govind, the king of the herd, Gopal Rai, in the service of the Supreme Master. Now, one might wonder who or what the Supreme Master is now that one is in the embrace of one's own higher self. I would like to suggest to think of the Supreme Master as a collective, as reflected in humanity. What this is saying is that once I have identified with my higher self and realized that the essence of which I am made is the essence that is in everything, then I am in the service of humanity. And in the month of Pokh, which is cold, when things withdraw, the Guru says, Jehte upji teh mili, sachi preet samaha. Kar geh lini par brahm, bhaud na vichhudya. Kar geh lini. Kar signifies hand. Kar geh lini. When the Supreme Being holds my hand, or when I reach out and fasten my hand to the Par Brahm, to the Supreme Being, then there is no separation. An indication that this state of mind is permanent. Once it happens, it happens. Jehte upji teh mili sachi preet samaha. Those who have attained the bliss of love, sachi preet sama, return to the source. In other words, their minds revert to their pristine state, where the bliss of love is felt. This is conjugal. You notice he's using terms like being in the embrace of a lover. So there is the bliss of love, sachi preet samaho. And this embrace is permanent once it happens. So therefore, bar jaun lakh beriya, har sajjan agam aga, I would submit myself 100,000 times, he says, bar jaun lakh beriya, to my beloved har self, to the har sajjan, who is otherwise beyond reach and unfathomable. Here's the mystery. How does the mind grasp or perceive that which is beyond reach of the senses and unfathomable? Which is why at the very first verse of this Shabad, the Guru is saying that I am now in the embrace of the self, and bhikhya poh na sakai, that the senses, because the senses are what are attached to Maya, cannot really affect me. In other words, I will not be a slave to the senses. I will be a master to the senses. And in the end, there is always the element of grace in Gurbani. So Guruji says, Saram pay narayani, Nanak darpaya. So when Nanak threw himself at the door of the Supreme Master, at the threshold, again, remember, this is a state of the mind, submission, humility, overcoming the ego, then the Supreme Master is left with no choice, but he is moved. So the Guru says, when I threw myself at the door of the Supreme Master, the Master was moved to protect me. Sarampai. Pokh suhanda sarv sukh, jis bakshe ve parvaha. So the message of the month is that every comfort is pleasant that's been bestowed by the carefree one. Jis bakshe ve parvaha. So the month of Pokh, which is commonly spoken of as Po, it falls between December and January on the Gregorian calendar. It is a dawn of winter, cold, desolate. The fifth Nanak is using the month of Po as a metaphor, as he is the other months, for the winter of the spirit. So remember, they're talking about the cyclical nature of existence. So in the cold month of Po, he says, I have found the source of an invincible summer within the heart self. You know, winter is the season to tend to the inner garden of the mind. When the cold of winter is felt, Like a sharp knife, it is time to retreat, to create space, and to develop qualities, gungaha, resilience, intuition, reflection. So this is a month of retreat and withdrawal. I've returned to my source, the Guru is saying. It is a month to prepare for the next cycle by cultivating the inner garden. Milasadu gungaho. So the lesson for us is to winter wisely and gracefully, to be in tune with the changing seasons of the mind. There are moments of exuberance and spring-like blossoming, and there is a time to revitalize. So the month of Pokh is to cultivate the mind so that it emerges revitalized in the spring. With that thought, until the next time, Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh.